Right, we got a 2012 Ford Mustang in for a water pump replacement. This model has the 3.7 liter in it. Water pump sits right down here, and it is starting to have some play in the pulley area. That indicates that the pump itself has went bad. So we're going to go ahead and start tearing down everything, get the old one off and the new one on. Fairly simple jobs, about 2 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on your experience level. I knew it was gonna fucking break. Yeah, sometimes shit breaks. Oh well, we'll fix that later. So the hoses that are going to leak your coolant, I'm just removing the clamps right now and breaking them loose so I can pull them off when I'm ready to pull them off. You've got the lower radiator hose. I believe that's the water inlet hose. And then your upper radiator hose. All three of those disconnect, and then you'll have coolant drain out. So make sure you have a catch pan. I already have my catch pan in place. Make sure your catch pan is empty. I've got this hose here to finish disconnecting. This one's already loose. I just got to break it loose from its housing, and then we'll get started on removing the thermostat housing. Thermostat housing, I believe, is all eights, 8 mil bolts, and I believe the water pump is all 8 mils except for the pulley. I believe those are tens. And then the serpentine belt tensioner, that is the 15, which we'll get to later on in the process. This sensor here goes here. It just has this little red clip. Pull this back, push down on the tab, and it releases. I decided not to pull the whole box just because of how it's set up, and I already broke the top clamp on the actual, on this piece here. The top clamp, I already broke that one, so I'll put a new clamp on there when we go back in. For now, we'll go ahead and finish getting this thermostat housing off. All right, so right down here is your upper radiator hose, this one here. What I did with the clamp there is I put a pair of vice grips on it because that one's kind of difficult to get to. So I went ahead and clamped it down, and then I took another pair of vice grips, tighten it down, which bring the clamp in and tighten the clamp up. So we're gonna leave it there till I'm ready to actually pull it. I'll get the everything else pulled first, and then we'll pull the upper radiator hose. Let everything drain as much as it's gonna drain, and then we'll get started on the actual water pump itself. Now, it can get kind of messy, so like I said, make sure you got a catch pan that's empty enough to catch as much fluid as you can. You're probably not going to catch all the fluid, but it is a lot easier to clean up if you catch most of the fluid. Cooling is very slick, so be careful, watch your steps when you're doing this type of work. We are replacing the serpentine belt on it as well. That's coming off and the new one's going on. All right. So it looks like all we got left is to pull all of our hoses off, let them all drain, and then we'll get started on removing the bolts on our thermostat housing. So I'm gonna start with this one. Since this one's the loosest, break this one loose. Lower radiator hose. You can even squeeze. And we got one more hose right there on your left. Almost knocked over my camera. All right, let's get this last water radiator hose off. So I'll drain. We'll slide this up and let it rest right there. That'll be perfectly fine. You can actually leave your vice grip in place and everything. It'll be a lot smoother to go back on. You're going to clean up that area here on the thermostat housing, clean up this area here and this area here, lubricate it up, and both hoses will slide back on with ease. You'll also clean this one up to get that hose and lubricate that one to get that hose back on with ease. So you'll leave your vice grip there. Sorry, you can't see it. So yeah, we just placed it right up there. You'll leave your vice grip on it. That way it's already set where the clamp needs to go. When you put it back, just release the vice grip and good to go. Now this hose, your lower radiator hose down here, I guess somebody replaced the clamp and put a regular clamp on there. I don't per se like that, just because these like to flex and these don't give them the option to flex like these clamps do. So I'll check and see if I have one that fits, and then we'll put a proper clamp on there just to please my OCD. Right, let's get this thermostat housing off, and then we'll go from there. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Grab an extension. And what I like to do first is I'll go in and break them all loose. One, two, three, and shorter extension. Four. There we go. Woo. All right, so that is your uh, thermostat housing. Thermostat goes there. It's not too bad. We're going to clean up all these areas here, and then try to get a new seal. Just 4 bolts to the thermostat housing, and all 4 are 8mm bolts. All right, so we got 4 tins on the water pump pulley. Make sure you guys can see right down there. We've got our water pump pulley. So we've got 4 tins on it. So we're just going to break them loose for now. All right. And we're going to take 2 out, leave 2 in. So we got 2 out, we left 2 in. We're going to tension and get the belt off, and then we'll finish removing the, we got a 15 tensioner. This belt routing is pretty simple on these models, but it does help to take a picture or draw an image just to have reference if you ever forget. You can also Google that. They should have it online. There should be a reference somewhere, but some engines are harder to find than others. 3.7 is common, so it should be pretty easy to find. The belt routing for this one does have a drive belt and a AC belt. So if you do replace it, remember to grab the correct belt to replace. All right, so we got our two cans left. We'll go ahead and take them off. And there you have it. That there is your water pump pulley. Uh, Remember to check the inside, make sure there's no grooves or big gouges in it or any damage that you might visibly see. Check your grooves here, make sure all of those are good. She looks nice and clean, no damage or anything like that. We'll spray her down, clean her up before putting her back on. The remaining bolts for the water pump are all 8s. And like we did with the thermostat housing, we're just going to break all our bolts loose first before we go in with our electric ratchet. All right, time to get this water pump removed. Usually if they're little seized or a little stuck like that, we'll grab a mallet, kind of tap on it, get it to break loose. Don't go crazy with the taps. There we go. Once you get it a little bit, kind of pull on it just to get it to start draining. Sorry, I had to readjust my pan a little bit. There we go. All right, so that's old water pump there. As you can see in here is where it started to fail. You can hear it just growling. Yeah, it shouldn't be that noisy. And then if I flip it over, you can kind of see it flexing. Sorry. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and replace this one. With the old and with the new. All right, our surfaces is cleaned up. Got our new water pump here. New gasket, new pump, that O-ring there. Goes down in this little groove here, which I'll show you before installing. Real quick, I just want to spin the pump nice and tight, no noise. Shouldn't be growling or loose or anything like that. So that's how you know you got a good pump. Now, I see a lot of people, when they go to do these, they go to open it and try to use the gasket to split it. And I've seen people bend the gasket, so don't do that. Put a new gasket there, and we'll work our gasket in here. And then once you get it in, just run your finger around it. Make sure it's nice and seated, because you'll hate to tear this whole thing back down just to reseat this little gasket. I haven't put it in wrong before, so I'm not even sure if you go in wrong if it'll break. So just be careful, make sure it is seated properly. All right, and we've got our gasket. Gasket will go both side out, and it does have this little guide pin right there on the side. Got your little guide pin, just like this. So like I said, you got your guide pin there, guide pin hole up there. Line that one up. You got a secondary guide pin down here. That one is lined up. Push it in, you should hear a little click. Make sure she's all seated properly, not bent or anything like that. No RTV on these. RTV will cause these type of gaskets not to seat properly. Then you'll have leakage, and you can possibly get RTV in your cooling system, which you don't want, because then you have to do a complete flush if you haven't damaged your engine too far. So yeah, it just kind of sits like that, and then yeah, guide pins hold it in, so you don't have to worry about any RTV to hold her in place when you go to rebolt. And don't use any RTV on the actual gasket itself. Like I said, it causes it to seat improperly. So that's there. Now we're going to go ahead and go back on with the new water pump. So I'll zoom you guys back in. I have 2 bolts just to have them handy. You can go top, bottom, left, right, however you decide to do it. Just make sure you go opposite sides when going back in. All right. Grab the rest of your bolts. Should have 7 total for the water pump itself. Motherfucker. Fell right in the catch pan full of coolant. All right, new water pump is on. Next step is to clean up our thermostat housing here. Like I said, we're gonna clean this area up, clean the inside of there, and then we'll get everything reinstalled. Reinstallation is pretty much reverse of teardown. I'll show you most of the process. Like I said, most of it is just a repeat of how you took everything apart. This, we'll go ahead and clean it up. If you could take a Scotch pad or anything like that, some degreaser, put some degreaser on a rag and just wipe it down. Most of this is just gunk and built up corrosion. So clean it up, get it nice and smooth. It doesn't have to be perfect, just smooth enough, lubricate it up so your hoses slide right on over it. Just using my drill to clean up the rough edges on it. Just a little bit like that. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, just smooth enough to go back on with ease. Beautiful. Got her all nice and clean. We'll lubricate her up and then get everything back together as far as the hoses. For now, we're going to rebolt her back on, and we'll start with sliding right over our upper there. Make sure she's lined up, and then we'll go back in with the bolts. 4 of those bolts for the thermostat. Make sure when you're going in, they're lined up properly, and you can get a couple threads on there so you don't strip anything out. And then take our 8 with our extension, and by hand tighten down. And then we'll go in with our 8. Boom. That's tight. And last but not least, that one's tight. And we'll go back around one good time. Boom, boom. Fully timed. Now these bolts, you'll get in, get them started, get them hand tight. And then when you get the belt back on, tighten them down. So quick recap. You got 4 8 mils for the thermostat housing, 7 8 mils for the water pump itself, 4 10 mils for the pulley, and you have a 15 mil for the counterclockwise or to the left to release tension. All right, all of that's done. We'll get our hoses put back on last. For now, we're going to go in with our belt, and you'll start with, well, first you'll want to make sure all your hoses are out of your way. You'll come down and around the crank, down and around to the alternator, around the tensioner, like so, and then get it back around the tensioner, where it's supposed to be. There we go. Belt's back on. Like I said, these are fairly easy. So yeah, all we got left to do now is to put all our hoses back, put everything back together, put some coolant in it, bleed the system, and go from there. If you have any questions about bleeding the system or any steps that I might have left out, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. If this video helped in any sort of way, please drop me a like, drop me a subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.